Marketer of the Day, episode 650, How to Convert Customers Faster and Build Stronger Relationships Through Content Marketing with Lyndsay Phillips.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Marketer of the Day podcast. We're chit-chatting with Lyndsay Phillips, and you can find her at smoothbusinessgrowth.com. And she's been on the show before. Her old appearance was marketeroftheday.com/330. And Lyndsay is a serial entrepreneur. She's a self-professed organizational freak, a client-appointed taskmaster, plus project ninja, and to even make it even better, a warrior content marketer for life and business coaches for accountants and other online entrepreneurs across the globe. If you want to know about content marketing, sales funnels, making your own podcast, or anything in between, then Lyndsay is your gal to talk to. So Lyndsay, glad to be talking to you again. What is your focus these days? What has you wanting to just drive down the freeway at 200 miles an hour?
I love helping people with strategies, so content marketing strategies. I mean, some people there's so much, right, with content marketing. There's like videos and podcasts and blogs and, a ton of options when it comes to social. And I think a lot of people just feel stuck. They don't know where to start. How are they going to get their best, ideal clients? My favorite, I've been doing a ton of strategy calls lately and just mapping out plans for people. And I just love it. It is so much fun for me.
Cool. An organizational freak's dream. And yeah, I got to admit, sometimes I see these marketers and they seem to have their content marketing so dialed in. Like they post a LinkedIn blog post every single day. All their tweets are unique. They're posting all sorts of cool, fun graphics on multiple Facebook pages. They've got tons of reactions, tons of comments. And I'm just like, where to even begin? And what's even the point of it? Like, what's the goal? What are we trying to do with all this content marketing stuff?
So I always say that content marketing is as easy as ABC. And so it's attract, build relationships, and convert. And so whatever it is that you're doing or the info, I always say extract all the good expertise that's in your head and all the knowledge and experience that you have, and you're sharing it with people in different ways and different modalities in order to attract your ideal client and hook them to get them into your world. And then you want to nurture them and build relationships. And then, of course, convert them to either buy your products or, become a coaching client or whatever that service is.
I like it. So play the long game so that you don't have to scramble with all the pay-per-click, with all the email marketing. You're just set up and you're communicating with people in that platform that they like. So it's if they're an Instagrammer, they like pictures. If they're a Facebooker, they like some of the short form content. If they like Twitter, they like even the shorter form. So it seems like you're saying just have all the stuff out there and be consistent and attract and nurture and do enough of that over time. That way you're not having to work so dang hard.
It's definitely a long game, and especially when it comes to things like podcasting and building your audience. I mean, you did mention, pay-per-click type stuff, and I think layering it is good, right? I think you do want to, get a lot of people on your webinar that you're having coming up. So there are avenues for that kind of, instant gratification, I guess you could say. And to grow your e-list, there's, some of that in there, but you definitely hit the nail on the head when you said consistency. And the other thing is that you want to make sure that you really understand your perfect client, where are they hanging out? I mean, don't put your energy into Snapchat if your peeps and your audience don't even know what that is. Does your audience, I have a client where their audience, they don't even listen to podcasts. They have no interest. They barely even know what they are, but they love videos and digest them like crazy. So he puts all his energy into videos. So you really have to know your avatar to know where to spend your time and your investment.
And when you're doing these coaching calls and things like that, and you're helping people discover that avatar, what's that process like? How do you arrive at a conclusion like that of saying, that my perfect client or my audience doesn't listen to podcasts, but they do watch videos? How do you figure that sort of stuff out?
That's a great question. And I mean, I do ask a ton of questions, and take notes and try to I make them think about, okay, who are your 3 favorite clients? And the ones that bring in, the most money? What are some of the commonalities? How did you get them? What were their problems? And what are you doing to solve them? And then you also want to think about, some things that you do don't make as much money as some other things. So you kind of want to factor that in. But I even tell them to do some R&D. And this is super helpful for anybody out there. Think about your biggest competitors, your industry leaders. Check out what they're doing. If they're super crazy active on Instagram and they have like a bazillion followers and they're doing Insta stories all the time and they're super successful, then clearly that's working for them. And their audience, if they're similar to your audience, then that would be a great indicator that would be a good avenue for you to tackle.
And would you say when people are doing this R&D process and they're looking at the competitors and looking and seeing, say, if they're doing like Insta stories or things like that, is it important to play around and experiment and try things out for ourselves and then later on readjust? Or are you more of a get it right the first time sort of person?
God, that's a great question. There is always testing, but because there are so many options out there, it's like I always kind of like make a ladder, if you will. Like, okay, first we need to do these 3 pillars and these 3, I call them boulders, things to, let's make sure that, you've got a great e-list, for example. Let's make sure that we're nurturing them and doing some good call to actions to convert them to phone calls or sales. So let's do that first, because you got a good thing going. Let's optimize it. And then let's start something new and do this. And then, you test along the way. You don't need to do everything all at once. It's way too much. Focus on a few core builders and foundational strategies, optimize, test, and then course correct or adjust from there.
I like that mindset a lot because, as you know, it's easy to get caught in that chicken and the egg problem, right? Where you say, well, I don't have any audience, so why am I going to post stuff? But then you don't post stuff, you don't have any audience. And then even if by luck they do end up like building a social presence or getting the traffic to their site, if they don't have that e-list, if they're not capturing the leads, if they're not building them up in their own way and they're not leading them to something to buy, then it's like, okay, well, you might spend years just playing around with getting a few clicks from social media, but then they're going to go right back out the window. So I like that. Makes a lot of sense, and that keeps it really simple. So you're saying like get that foundation set up first, so that way when the traffic does come in, then you'll have that system in place to already do something with that. And so you've been saying that you've been doing a lot of these kind of one-on-one meetings and figuring stuff out for some of these clients lately. So out of all those that have been happening, do you have like an interesting, fun story or a case study where someone came to you with a real problem and you worked your magic and made it all work out?
I mean, I've had a lot of clients where I'll give kind of one example. He started off with, a very simple email system. He had 800 leads. I mean, I've been working with him for some time, but now he's got like, I don't even know, like thousands and thousands of leads in his email system. He's grown his coaching program from 24 people to, now he's like in the millions for his company. And it all takes time, right? In growing your e-list, creating products, making offers, being consistent with your social and your marketing. But yeah, it does bring results. And again, working with another client who does podcasting, in being consistent with the promotion of the podcast, he has almost doubled his amount of downloads and listeners, which is amazing.
And how did he double that? Or is that a secret?
I mean, everyone's a little bit different. So what works for one person may not necessarily work for the other person. But just making sure that you're putting it all out to the different channels. When it comes to a podcast, there's so many different directories. definitely pushing it out to YouTube so that you're capitalizing on your audience that loves your videos. And, emailing your list with it, putting it in LinkedIn Pulse. You can put it on Medium, and not just promoting your podcast where it's like one post and then it's done. Keep recycling them and keep sharing them. And I mean, there's a bazillion different tactics, but just making sure that you're, fire hosing it out there on a consistent basis, and it snowballs.
And that's such a good point there, that there's always there's so many social media channels and so many things we could do, that there's always more to pile on. And even if we think we've exhausted it and posted it everywhere, we can always go back and repost some of those old episodes, right? Tweet them again, post something new on LinkedIn Pulse. And so something you mentioned there was to take our podcast episodes and put them on YouTube. And I have to admit that I've been a little reluctant to do it, because you hear about with a YouTube channel, like you want to have like the short videos, you want to have the high percentage of watch times. So as far as like taking podcast episodes, putting them on YouTube, do you think like we should all just be like just dumping all of our episodes on there, or make a separate YouTube channel just for that, or do something clever to make the podcast episodes make sense on YouTube? Or is this all just a lot of overthinking? We should just go ahead and do it.
That's a great question. I do definitely recommend having the one YouTube channel, because you want you don't want your stats to be diluted into different channels, right? You want them all in one place and to build on itself. And I like it better when the podcast videos, if you will, are in its own playlist. So people know they can go to that section for the dedicated podcasts. So it's not mixed in with everything else. And then if you have the short videos that are like marketing tips, or you have a bunch of short videos that are like, I don't know, how to live life as an entrepreneur, or whatever that may be, your mindset, then you have those little sub playlists within your YouTube channel. Because if someone likes that thread or that topic, then they're more likely to keep watching those that are in that playlist. And those that are specifically geared towards your podcast, and that's how they want to consume them, then they don't have to search and figure it out, and it doesn't look like a jumbled mess. It looks intentional.
That's really good. So put it in its own playlist and put your other types of content in their own playlist. That way it's not just all thrown in there.
Exactly.
I like that a lot. And so what all this talking about, all of these things we could do makes me think about, well, there are probably some quick wins that we could all hear about, or, there's sometimes there's the low hanging fruit. So for example, there's things like you mentioned building a list, like probably I would imagine everyone needs some kind of a freebie, right? Even though for some people it might be a PDF or a quiz, but that's maybe like a universal need, or something that I forget and then I remember every couple of months is, oh yeah, I could be adding a little signature link on the bottom of my outgoing emails and plug my YouTube channel or plug my latest book and have it on the bottom of every email and just get those consistent clicks. So does anything come to mind as far as just like some of those quick, easy, universal wins that we could all apply today? A
ton, for sure. If you ever go to Brendan Burchard's YouTube channel, you'll see on his videos that, yes, he describes, what happens in the video, but he has like a whole template that he adds on to a lot of them. And it's like, here, if you don't know my podcast, check out my podcast. If you want to get a free blah, 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 go here. So it's like this templated description that cross-references his other marketing avenues and links. You can likewise, like you said, put it at the end of your email signature. And even really, like when you're doing your e-newsletter or, emails out to your list, you can have like a huge, big, long, like PSS, like at the bottom. That's like, hey, in case you didn't know, you can get your free social media roadmap to do blah, 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 get it here. So you can, I call it cross-referencing. So it's like cross-referencing all your different marketing pieces in different places. So like in Facebook, you can, hey, I just shared this in Twitter. Are you connected with me in Twitter? And make sure, like, push them to there as well. And then like in YouTube, reference your podcast so that you're going to push people to your podcast page. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds like what you're saying is you already have subscribers on one channel and you want to, like, say you have a lot of YouTube subscribers and you're like, okay, well, I want to build my email list. Well, instead of trying to scramble and get people from who knows where, why not go the easy path and take them from channel number 1 and bring them over to channel number 2? Or if they're on your email list already, send them over to your Facebook page or your Facebook group or your Twitter page, because it doesn't cost you anything, right? You already have those people, and then now they keep in touch with you multiple ways. I mean, it seems like the easiest thing, but I'm assuming a lot of people don't do that.
Totally. They just don't. And we're so busy, right? Doing a bazillion things. I mean, it's hard to think about all those little steps. And you can even take it one step further and use Bitly or Pretty Links for those, and then track where people are clicking. So if you're sharing, your YouTube channel in your emails, on Facebook, in Instagram, you can have different links on each of those things, and then you can track so that oh man, like so many people from Instagram are being pushed over to YouTube. Like that's the winner. You know what I mean? So you can even track those special links so that you know where your traffic is coming from and where they're going, so that you can better optimize that.
And just to catch everyone up, so what you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, is that we should use these link shorteners, these link trackers, and what they do is, if you click on this special link, it sends them off to where they were going to go anyway. Yes. But then it also adds one number to that count. So you might have a special link and you say, well, this is bit.ly/YouTube to Instagram. And then you want to link your YouTube people to Instagram, and you put that on the bottom of your videos. But instead of linking directly to Instagram, you use the special link redirector. So that way, instead of linking and not knowing where stuff is going, you say, oh, well, I tried different things. And now that the special link that says YouTube to Instagram, you got 1,000 clicks. You're like, whoa, that got way more clicks than anything else. And now you're not just guessing. Now you can repeat what ended up working.
Exactly. Because then it just gives you more data, right? More ammo.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, again, where a lot of people feel like it's extra work or they're too tired to do it, but it just takes you a couple of seconds. The first time you do it, it might be awkward, but then if that becomes part of your process, your system, then you'll be so glad later on that you dotted your T's, crossed your I's, and just got it done as you were doing it, instead of trying to scramble later. For sure.
And then make sure you have a spreadsheet that tracks all the different links that you create, so that you can go back to it, and then you can even record your stats.
Ooh, that's really good. And so along those lines, as far as having sort of a spreadsheet to keep all of our links organized, do you have something that shows that in action? Do you have like a product or a course or a tutorial or something so that people can see that spreadsheet in action?
I don't, because they're all client specific for myself, but I do have a spreadsheet where there's a tab for each campaign. So an opt-in, a product, whatever. And then I call it a marketing inventory. So it's like all like the landing page, the thank you page, the click to the like where your campaign is in ClickFunnels, where your campaign is in Infusionsoft, what tags you use, what pretty links you use, so that everything, because like later on down the road, when you get bigger and bigger and bigger and you have like a bazillion campaigns and links, if something breaks, you need to know where to find that stuff.
Yeah.
Or if you need to update your branding or, whatever, you just want to, it can get out of hand. So you definitely want to have like an inventory of all the links and what they mean.
And I like your thought process on that. You're like, if someone's going from page A to page B, even if it's just something as simple as a landing page to a thank you page, you want to have that in the spreadsheet for reason number one. If you go and refresh your branding, you have that whole list of all the pages. And reason number two, you know how well the traffic's flowing from one thing to another.
Absolutely. I totally agree. It feels like a lot of work, but once you start it, you're good.
Yeah. And it gets easier the more you do it. And next thing you know, you're doing it so much that you're not even thinking about it. So I'm hearing a lot from you of how important it is to be just looking at the template of things. Like if we go to someone's blog, they might have a special page that says like, start here, or if you're a new visitor, click and see what this website is all about, or if Brennan Bouchard has a PS or a PPS, and maybe look at how we can apply that sort of same thing to our own YouTube channel, our own blog posts, and that way we're just more aware of adding some of these things over time, right? Because when we started our conversation, we said there's so many things that you could do. It's so easy to get overwhelmed, but if you just keep aware of these things, or you just keep maintaining that spreadsheet, then doing it in little bits and pieces over time is not that overwhelming.
No, and you could even have a VA or, support team that helps you with those things of tracking the campaigns, and then, updating your PSs and making sure that your description templates in your YouTube are all consistent, and kind of put those systems into place.
Yeah, and I know that you're really good about that, of have not just having the systems, but also outsourcing stuff, so that way you don't have to do all the work yourself. And since you and I last talked, I think we've hired maybe one full-time person and 2 part-time people. So I'm getting a little bit better about the whole outsourcing thing.
Awesome.
And like having the checklist and giving them the login to do something, and having the short video, and then being a little bit patient as they figure it out. But it's still, an ongoing process. But for those of us out there who are not yet dialed in to your level of delegating it all out, and maybe some people are afraid or hesitant, what sort of advice do you have for people like that?
My first thing is measure your hourly worth. Like, what is your time worth? Like, if you're, I don't know, making $85 an hour, and you're like updating your social media profile and doing like these nitty gritty things, if you could outsource that for a third of the cost, you could spend your time on more revenue generating things, while someone else is, taking care of those smaller things for you to free you up and grow your business.
I like that advice a lot. And I mean, you're so right, because I spent years, I'm probably 10 years resisting hiring people for anything. And then I realized that there's some stuff you can pay people $5 or $10 for that would take you all day. And it's like, would you toil all day long for $5? Well, heck no.
Yeah.
So, but you're doing it by not being able to do the money making stuff. And that it's such a, I don't know, it's a tough hump to get over mentally, but once you do, you never go back, right?
You don't. Oh man, it's like as soon as I'm like super control freak. So I'll do things and I'm like, why am I doing this? My team could be doing it for me. And then it's like, okay, take 2 minutes to like do a little screencast and set up the task. And, once you offload it, you're like, whoo, you feel accomplished, even though someone else is doing it for you.
Yeah, and maybe at first you feel the guilt of not working 20 hours, and you're like, I only spent 20 minutes just sending a couple text messages, and it was done. But I mean, that's a good problem to have, right?
Absolutely.
Getting over the guilt of making the same, if not more money, and working less.
Yeah, and once you get someone that like and trust, and that you can, it's going to take a while, right, for them to get your branding, your voice, get a relationship going, but then you can like offload like bits at a time, right? And then you don't have to do it all at once. I think people think that it's all or nothing. It's like you can have a relationship have someone take over all of your social media, or create XYZ, or write your stuff, or whatever it may be. And then just, slowly offload some stuff, and you'll just feel your shoulders drop. You'll get more bigger projects done. It can be addictive.
Yes, and that's huge right there, that not only the addiction of it, but it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to go from doing it all yourself to doing nothing. Maybe just have them work a few hours out of the week, and as you get to know each other and you get past a little bit of the early miscommunications, then add more hours to them and just see how far you can take it. I love it.
Totally, absolutely. And I do that with my clients. When I onboard a new client, and it's like, I don't want us to do everything all at once. I'm not going to push like, oh, we need to do this, and this. I'm like, I would rather, let's tackle this one thing, figure each other out, make sure it's a fit, make sure, we've got it all dialed in, and then we'll move on to something else after that and kind of morph from there. It's just, it's so much easier on everyone.
Yeah, and instead of making all sorts of scary long-term plans that probably won't work out anyway, because once you get a quick win done or get to that next milestone, then you never know where you're going to course correct to.
That's totally right.
And that ties right in with your branding there of, you put the sails up and the sailboat might get blown over there and you never know where it's going to take you.
I love that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, got to stay on brand. So along those lines, what's up on the horizon? See, I just can't stop with the sailing stuff. What's next for you? You're talking to all these clients. Is it going to be just growing that, or do you have something really new and fun and exciting coming up?
I do, actually. I will be starting to do some Facebook challenges and helping more people with their content marketing. And I will actually be launching a membership coaching program, which will be Content Marketing Made Easy. And so that I can help more people with the strategy and the tech and the moving pieces. So it's like they'll have a content coach at their fingertips.
All right. So that way they don't have to figure it all out themselves.
Yeah.
They can just be them and let you handle the geeky technical stuff.
Yep, and help them, guide them in the right direction. And then whether they have their own team to work on the material or they do it or our team implements, either which way. I love doing the strategies and helping people put a plan into place and tackling the tech of it. So that's what's on the horizon for me in the near future.
Cool. So if they want to just drive the dinky little sailboat themselves, they can, or if they want to have the big yacht with the whole staff doing it while they kick back, then they can have whatever size of business they want. And so you mentioned Facebook challenges, and we're kind of getting close to the end here. But everyone kind of has their own way of doing Facebook challenges, and so my understanding of, like, I've done a few, I've seen a few. My understanding here is that you make a new Facebook group, and then you say, well, for the next 5 days, we're going to do some quick homework and activities for your content marketing, and people can jump in and ask questions and get training and try things out for themselves. And then once they've had some results with you, then they have the chance to keep the party going, keep the yacht party in progress, and then join whatever your latest course or coaching program is. So do I have that right?
You totally
do you do things a little differently?
It. Yeah.
All right. So having said that, how do we get in touch with you? How do we get on your e-list so that way when things like this Facebook challenge gets rocking and rolling, we can be a part of it?
For sure. So if they go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com, they'll see in there they can either book a 20-minute conversation with me to see how I can help them. But I also have a social media roadmap so they can learn how to get consistent with their social media and their content marketing. And it's right there on the trusty homepage.
Cool. Not just any homepage, but a trusty one. So smoothbusinessgrowth.com is the place to go. And when you're there, make sure you get that social media roadmap, but also to claim that 20-minute coaching call. That way you can have a conversation, see if you're a good fit, see if Lyndsay can give you a plan or give you some ideas for how you can stop spinning your wheels and stop having the FOMO of seeing everyone else's social media just looks so great. And instead of trying to copy what they're doing, maybe you can be you, and maybe you can have someone say, well, don't do Instagram for this reason, or do YouTube for that reason, or don't do podcasting for that reason. Things change so fast.
Yeah.
There's so many things to figure out that it's just going to be an exercise in frustration if you try to guess yourself. So why not go with a content marketing expert, and then you'll get way further than you would have just trying to get it all started yourself. Imagine if you saw a sailboat and you just jumped in and said, well, there's all these controls, all these things to do. I guess I'll just figure it out as I go along. You'd flip the boat over, right? You get stranded at sea. Whereas if you had a captain there saying, well, I'll steer you in the right direction, I mean, that seems like the sane way to go about things. And so smoothbusinessgrowth.com. And so, Lyndsay, can you think of any reason why people would maybe be afraid of having that 20-minute phone call or be hesitating? Or is there anything that we can say to people to make sure that when they go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com that they book that call with you, they show up and they have a lot of fun?
Yeah, I'm not a pushy salesperson in any way or form. I know who I can help and who, they're not at the right stage of their business, or I might not have the bandwidth depending on their project. And then the next step usually is a 2-hour strategy session with me to kind of figure out those foundational pieces. So yeah, it's just a discovery call really. So I can figure out, where they're at in their business and what their goals are, and if they need help with their content marketing. And sometimes the people I'm like, it's not a fit, but I know all these great people that can help you with what you're looking for. And I pass on some great names and contacts. I just want to help.
Fantastic. I love it. So you hear that, everyone out there in podcast land? Lyndsay just wants to help. And if she can't help you, she'll refer you to the person who can. And maybe think about it like a job interview where Lyndsay's the one interviewing for the position to work for you. So, I mean, that seems like the least scary thing out there. So make sure to go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com and fill in the form, sign up, have the quick conversation, see if it's a good fit. And at the worst case, maybe you just had that quick 20-minute conversation, found a new friend, made a new connection. So go there right now. Don't wait. If you wait, you'll talk yourself out of it. You'll get distracted. There'll be something else. So pause this podcast interview right now and go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com, and we'll see you there. Anything to add, Lyndsay, as we wrap this up?
No, just take action and love your business and have fun in it.
All right, because otherwise, what's the point, right? If you're not having fun, not taking action, so move it in the next direction, smoothbusinessgrowth.com. And thanks, Lyndsay, for showing up and teaching us a lot of fun stuff.
Awesome. Thank you. You were so much fun.
So are you. Thank you for listening to Marketer of the Day. Subscribe and listen to other shows at marketeroftheday.com/episodes.